Today I'm building Springfield on a donut, adding all the important Simpsons buildings, like the nuclear power plant, Moe's pub, the school, and even a tiny JEBEDIAH Springfield statue, all with polymer clay. So let the challenge start. For my miniature Springfield I need a world minus a donut. Because, well, Homer. For size and texture, this is our reference donut, and I also decided to create it with the bite taken from it. The filling inside is aluminum foil, and we are using some caramel, brown, ochre and yellow for the coating. It's a very thin layer, and we are coating the aluminum foil ring. For texture, I thought it would be nice to also use the aluminum foil. Look at that, it looks awesome! To recreate the iconic pink sugar coating, I'm also using a thin layer of pink polymer clay, which we are now putting on top. The pink icing is running down the donut in some places. That's why I'm pulling long drops out of the polymer clay. It should all look a bit runny and liquid.
Homer, stop picking at it.
Oh, but I'm so sweet and tasty.
To create an authentic bite, there is no way around it. Using the tooth imprint as starting point, we can now crack the polymer clay donut open. For the filling, I mixed the clay slightly brighter with a little bit of white and yellow. When we compare the real donut, you see these air bubbles which appear during baking. And with the toothbrush and my modeling tool, I tried to recreate that. The last thing missing now are the tiny crumbs of pink sugar that stick to the bite. Some crumbs might even fall off. It's all science. So let me demonstrate this. For many people, it's less about biting off a piece, it's more tearing it off, just like this. And it looks completely different.
Boring.
See that? Yeah. I can use the tweezers to spread a few more surface crumbs, and now the bite should be completely modeled. I just need to quickly add the sugar sprinkles in 5 different colors, but that's no big deal. Okay, one last broken sugar sprinkle fell off when I bit into it and got stuck inside the donut. It goes right there. Oh, so dramatic. I'm actually quite happy with the result. It could almost be hung on the wall as art. But we have bigger plans for today. Welcome to Springfield, the town of our childhood. Okay, at least my childhood. So vibrant, so colorful, that my parents wouldn't let me watch this show. But hey, they gave me clay instead. We'll start with Springfield's iconic hill, followed by its second most iconic element, the nuclear power plant. To be more specific, the 2 cooling towers. A small turbine hall, and the classic little details which we are also adding, like the fence. We stick it right into the clay, and I'm really happy how it turns out for now. And it also sets the tone for all the other buildings to follow and to come. For the town center, I'm removing some of the sugar coating. I borrowed inspiration from FORTNITE. We have the iconic town hall with the 2 lions, which I unfortunately had to leave out for scale reasons. But of course, we're including the JEBEDIAH Springfield statue right in the middle, in front of the... It's not the town hall, right? Is it the country courthouse? Yeah, I think so. The town hall is the one with the dome, right? where Major Quimby holds his legendary town meetings. In the center of Town Square stands the statue of JEBEDIAH Springfield, who gets his head sawn off and then falls onto Ralphie. Next up, we've got the cinema, this orange huge building with the letters Aztec in front of it. These buildings are not so much important, but create the vivid feeling of a city which is alive. And that is Springfield, a city where people are doing their stuff. Across the street, we've got the pub, Moe's Pub. Then we also have got these three buildings. They're kind of random, but I'm pretty sure that they have been taken out of the show as well. So this is King's Toots, the music store, and Moe's Pub with the iconic color combination. And then we've got Kivik E-Mart, which I also wanted to include. The letter E, the red E, will be painted after oven hardening. Yeah, and then the most important building for today's creation. You recognize this home from the intro, from the show, from pretty much everywhere. With the pink car in front of it. This is the Simpsons home. Besides the two neighbors' houses, is one of them Flanders? We've got the tree house in the garden of the Simpsons, and it's so cool they integrated that into Fortnite as well. We're now going back into school. Springfield Elementary, home of Bart, Lisa, Milhouse. It's where the famous chalkboard gag begins from the intro, because Bart is always in trouble. You would not believe what we are creating and including as well. This is going to be Springfield's Tire Fire, a mountain of old tires that never stops burning. And they also included that into Fortnite, which I really love as a running joke, day and night, calmly polluting the air. After oven hardening, I'm using some acrylic paint to recreate the flames with red and bright yellow. And maybe we can add some wool for the smoke effect. What do you think? Meet Lard Lad in Fortnite's donut district. You can knock the giant donut off the statue. I saw some gameplay, someone riding on it. It rolls like a wrecking ball. It's so iconic for Springfield, and I wanted to include this as well in our tiny build. And this was actually the biggest challenge of all, not creating on such a small scale, but deciding and figuring out which buildings to include that it feels like Springfield. What about Springfield's lake? We will include that. Just downstream of the nuclear power plant. In the show, Bart catches Blinky, the three-eyed fish, which I created 2-3 weeks ago when I turned Fortnite skins into Simpsons characters. For our build, I'll cut a tiny channel from the plant into the lake. Water coming out of these two tubes. Let's add some vegetation, and this feels like Springfield. After oven hardening, we can add some more tiny details which were impossible to create with clay, like the frame for the windows. The statue of JEBEDIAH Springfield gets a golden plate, not the chest in front of it, and we are placing it in Town Square. Maybe we add some tiny trees as well, and we can place all the tiny buildings and maybe another street. We are now adding the most important building of this tiny town scenery, at least for me. The most iconic one with the letters M, E and S, Moe's, which goes right in the front so it can be seen quite easily. And then we've got the supermarket which we can place in the background, not that important. Welcome to Springfield's neighborhood on the right side of our donut, the quiet side of Donut City. As downtown is on the left with Moe's, Kivik E-Mart and Lardlet, should I connect both with a big bridge? I don't think it's a good idea. Well, there is a bridge in Springfield, but it would steal attention from Springfield HILL, side letters, and the cooling towers, the most iconic shapes. After oven hardening, we can now paint some more details onto the tiny houses. And this is it! This is the Springfield's home, with Bart's treehouse and the garden. And we're painting some details onto it. The blue-greenish grass of the neighborhood gets into shape. Let's create a neighborhood. We've got the house to the left. Is it Flanders' home? Not really sure, but it gets an entrance anyway. And then we've got the iconic Simpsons home, with a garage on the right side, a pathway to the door, and the tiny car. This is so crazy tiny, but it has to be inside our build. We are quickly adding the neighbors to the right, then we've got the fence in between to the left, and on the right side this brick wall and the treehouse. Bart's treehouse, which you can climb into in FORTNITE, which I really love. 2 bushes in the front, some more trees as decoration. And trees. Some more. Okay, last one. Let's finish the neighborhood with this sugar sprinkle. Smaller than my fingernail, but I still wanted to write the typical blue and red lettering onto the donut statue. And these are the last 3 buildings we are placing in our donut town. Springfield Elementary goes into the backside, but still connected by our streets. We're hiding the burning tires right here. And for the donut statue, it would be funny if it goes right in the middle. No, doesn't really look great. It distracts from the iconic donut hole, so we place it here. Okay, guys. 2 uninvited guests are landing on our donut. With some heat and my pointing tool, we are creating the UFO glass dome out of this tablet packaging. And with some silver clay, we can now work on the UFO itself. The 2 very special guests, called Kang and Kodos, you know them, the one-eyed aliens with tentacles and that evil laugh. They show up in many episodes. The Treehouse of Horror, for example, and they're causing all kinds of trouble and making jokes. And now the UFO and both of the aliens are included in FORTNITE. I knew I had to build them as well and get them into our Springfield miniature town. As the last clay part, we are adding the lights around the UFO, and then we are creating the visitors. Kang and Kodos. I don't really have much knowledge to share about those 2, but let's have a look at their bodies. We've got 5 or 6 tentacles. I wasn't really sure about that because I found some different images. Now they've got this collar around the neck and the head. This is so tiny. It's even tinier than a grain of rice. But I still wanted to include the eyes, mouth open, the teeth and ears. The iris will be painted after oven hardening. Let's see how this will turn out. Yeah, it looks like them, although it's so tiny. With a tiny piece of super glue, we can now place them and the glass dome on top of the UFO. And I guess that's it for Kang and Kodos. The Hollywood-inspired letters on the Springfield Hill are tiny. Either we go with clay or let's give it a try with thick paper. We need a sharper blade for that.
Hello? Yes?
To get this iconic Springfield letter look, I printed them out, also mirrored, but I think I will work with the regular ones so we get this beautiful black outline around. And letter by letter we can now place Springfield onto the hill, onto our donut. For the final touch we are adding some smoke to the 2 cooling towers of the nuclear plant. And one last building came to mind, which I totally missed. We will add the DUFF beer factory to our build, but in the DUFF beer version, not the slurp juice version from Fortnite, with the iconic 4 chimneys. The tire graveyard gets its smoke effect with some grey wool, and as it is looking so fantastic, we are also adding some smoke to the 4 chimneys of the DUFF factory with super glue. Now let's place it in the back side. And guys, I guess finally that's it! Springfield on a donut! Ooh, I totally forgot about the nuclear power plant sign. Where should we land this UFO? Kang and Kodos. On the left side? Oh, it's stuck. Not anymore! With all these beautiful tiny buildings, let's rig the UFO in the air with a wire. I hope you enjoyed today's crazy build. Building Springfield on a donut. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing weekend. Bye!